What's up, guys? It's the bros here. Actually, a bunch of bros, as you can tell.
Bro Squad.
Bro Squad. With episode 44 of the Lucky Draw podcast. I've been pretty excited about this one. From judge and players across the world, we got a rules update with actual definitive words to talk about and discuss. But before we get to that, we do have a new bro joining us. So up top above me is John B. So we'll go ahead and give him a chance to explain himself and say what he does for the bros.
So hi guys, I'm John Bielik. That's how you pronounce my last name. I'm a competitive Pokemon player. TCG. I'm from California, Masters Division. I've got 6 day 2s. 2 of them were cash, so that's pretty dope. Excited to join the bros.
Awesome. We love to hear it. As you can tell, the bros have spread a little farther and wider, but that really helps with the metagaming and the play. So be on the lookout for more videos with John in it. And then we also have Pokesnack Troy here. Haven't seen his face in a while. What do you got to say to the crowd there, Troy?
Just glad to be back. So we've been doing a lot of travel and we got a lot of stuff going on at home. So, glad to be here. Love hanging out with you guys and good to be back.
Yep. And then the one who can't be seen over there, Mr. Wigglesworth himself. We already told him we're going to input a picture there. You guys should be seeing it. It's going to be hilarious whenever we find it. We're going to find one too. I'll edit it if I have to.
He threatened to leave me in London when we go to EUIC. So if this is the last time you hear from me.
That's slander. I would never say that. And you have no proof that I would say that.
Plot twist, we were already recording.
And you made it back. We went to Brazil together and you made it back, so that's at least.
And we had a delayed flight.
Exactly.
We had a crazy delay.
But Wiggles, you got anything for the crowd out there?
Just happy to be back. I know that we've done a couple of regional interviews, and then we had that live at Brazil, so that was fun, and just excited to talk about the new rules.
Yeah. Boop, boop, boop. Our lives are cool. They're raw, that's for sure, and it's definitely hard to get everybody together, but we love being able to do that. So that's one thing we're always going to keep. But we'll go ahead and get to the meat and potatoes of today's episode, which is the rules update. And again, I'm not effing around on my phone.
These potatoes are loaded.
Loaded potatoes. I've been excited about this episode, too. 2 big points to talk about, and we'll start with the biggest one, is the end of round procedures and how they are more clearly defined. So, let me pull it back up on my phone. I got the fancy 2-screen thing. So.
While he's doing that,
Go ahead.
Troy, there's it's been a while since you've been on here. How are the kids doing? Because you had Miles' first experience at a regional, right?
We did. So we now have 4 kids playing at the regionals. So Charlotte is now a senior. My lower 3, we have Ella, Jameson, and Miles. Miles just turned 6 about 2 weeks before Toronto, and he has been ready for about a year and a half to run a regional. So the girls actually, Charlotte's had an up and down season. She had a pretty decent Milwaukee. Pittsburgh was kind of, there. Toronto definitely did not go the way we wanted. I think she got shaken a little bit early and then just kind of rocked from there. Early drop. Ella has been in all of the tournaments, and then it seems like that round 4 doldrum is just hitting her real hard. But she's been, 3-0, 3-1 and everything and just can't quite convert. Jameson and Miles, I was really proud of. Jameson, he's got his struggles, and he ended up 4-4 after an 0-4 start. And then Miles, my little, oh yeah, absolutely. And Miles, for those of you guys who don't know him, if you see a one-armed 6-year-old running around the event center, that is my son Miles. He's got the nubby. So he went in for his first one and somehow came away with a 4-4 record as a 6-year-old pairing into 11 and 12-year-olds, which was pretty dang awesome.
Yeah, Miles is a little genius. If you ever hear him, I say he speaks Mayonnaise because he's very fast at everything. His play, his talk, his connection to what he wants you to know. But I think Sean's found the rules that we're about to talk about.
Yeah, I wanted to read it verbatim so that way we can all discuss it. Because like I said, last time we had this podcast, we were talking about new rules. All we could do was guess as to what they were going to say. But starting with, in the rulebook, 7.4.3 under game resolution. Once time is called, games still in progress do not end immediately. Instead, they go into the end of round process, or EOR, if you hear me say that. That's what that stands for. The end of round process functions as follows. When the round starts, the timer begins counting down from the communicated allotted time until it hits 0. Time is called when the timer hits 0, which then triggers overtime. Competitors have a 15 additional minutes from when the timer hits 0 to complete an additional 3 turns. When the timer reaches 15 minutes from those additional minutes, the round is over. A little more on that. I'll abbreviate some of this stuff because we don't need to read all these paragraphs. A new timer is not started, but OT begins for everybody at the same time, not at different times. Everyone will have an allotted round, plus the 15 minutes as soon as the time is called. If this is important, if the time is called during Pokemon checkup, and there's no current active competitor, meaning there's no current person going in turn because it's in between turns. When the next competitor begins their turn, that will be considered the first of the +3 turns. Before I read any more, the rest is fine. What do you guys have to think about that? Whoever wants to go first.
I'll go ahead and go first on this one, just because of this was something specifically that Sean and I talked about. So the time thing for if your time is called to start your turns, they did have a special rule there for that to help mitigate people that want to manipulate who got to be turn 0. You only have 5 seconds after the end of each player's turn to draw your card for turn. So you have 5 seconds to figure out who you want to promote and draw your card, or that is wasting time. So you can't be like, all right, cool, there's 3 seconds. They said, all right, pass. And then you go 1, 2, 3. All right, time's over. Your turn 0. Draw my card. That you can't do that. Chris, what do you think about the time change on that?
So I do just want to start with the asterisk of if you have a time extension, your time extension triggers at 0 seconds.
Yes.
Yeah, we did talk about that too.
Yeah. Well, because per the reading, and you read it exactly the way that it is in the book, you would assume that it starts at 0 even if you have an extension. But if I have these 16 minutes, which I think that needs to be amended, but that's a whole other beast.
Continue. We don't want to. We'll talk. We were talking about this after, so go ahead and continue, Chris.
So if I have the full 16 minutes at negative 16 minutes, because it starts counting up, because thankfully we have a good clock app that they use at the regionals. Thank goodness. It would then be at 31 minutes that you run out of time. But either way,
theoretically, if you you're saying if you got a 15-minute extension.
Yeah. I don't know how I feel about the time rules, because the issue is it helps certain decks and it hinders certain decks. But I think time rules should be set up in a way that it helps all players in the same way. So that's my only big thing, because we are currently in a meta where there are decks that play to a situation of trying to win in 2 turns by making sure that you don't play the game until they're ready for those 2 turns.
Right.
And so I'm not a huge fan of that. If you're going into game 3, you have the time, and then they play in that fashion. But I also understand that it's a strategy to say, I'm going to prepare myself in a way to win the game. So, I think it's a double-edged sword, but I do like it better than 10 minutes plus 1.
John, what do you think about it?
I like that there's some clear definition on how much time is allotted for each action and for each deck search. And for time procedure being +3 is also pretty good, because it gives you another turn to close out the game.
Yeah, that +1 sometimes just kind of bites people in the butt for not being able. You see your clear path, and you're like, oh, I needed one more turn, and I can win the game. It's happened to all of us at least once.
Mm-hmm.
I'll jump in here kind of from the kids' standpoint. We had part of Charlotte's tough Toronto was 2 of her losses were ones that had it been under this rule system and what we had, even last year, she would have won both of those rounds. And again, her opponents had, manipulated it just a little bit to where it affected her in those games. And, again, ultimately play faster. But, it's one of those that I think that this is a good move, especially in the younger divisions, because you do have those actions with kids that, the thought processes take just a little bit longer. They've not been playing it for 8-9 years for the most part, where they're flying through those decks. And, so it gives them a little bit more leeway there, especially towards the end of the game, that they don't have that practice. I probably saw more tears out of kids in Toronto than I have seen in a long time at a regional. And it always came down to that end of game, a lot of hard losses, a lot of hard ties right there at the end. So, hopefully that helps speed that up a little bit. But, again, the people who are most prepared for stuff like this are the ones who are going to shine. So, it's our job as parents and coaches and stuff like that, just to make sure that we're 100% with what the rules are, what they mean, as well as making sure that we know how they can be manipulated, not for ourselves, but that way, if somebody's manipulating them against us, that we can call accountability for that.
100%. And this is a judge question that I just thought of for you, Sean, and that actually affects the kids. Do we think that there is going to be a level of intimidation factor that could be come into this from the players that are taught to rule shark of, hey, I counted to 15, you need to do an action. Hey, I counted to 15, you need to do an action. Do we think that would be more affecting or affect children more than adults would with this time rule change?
I mean, just from knowing children, first off, taking the whole Pokemon aspect out of it, they're going to be shaken up more easier. Having a kid that played, seeing a lot of kids play, like aging juniors and seniors in previous pasts. I mean, I was telling these guys I've seen some of the most complex play ever in the finals, but then you look at the beginning rounds, and there are kids that are easily shaken. But, I mean, I really don't know how to comment on that. At the same point, the kid cannot be like, hey, you got 15 minutes. You can't badger them, but now we're given a time frame on when they need to. And then to Troy's point, if the kid's just – it's Miles, and he's like, you know what I mean, like thinking and just getting started in this stuff, watching his sisters play and everybody, and he's trying to figure his own way around the game, but it's just taking him just that much longer.
Right.
Yeah, and the kid's pushing him to be like, hey, you go. That's where those judges are going to have to ring in and like kind of control that situation, explain it to Miles that he's got to play faster, but also explain to the other kid, like, you're right, but how you present it is everything. Because between you and your opponent, you, Chris, John, even when Troy play, you're going to present that a lot differently than a kid will, and they may not even think about their tone when they say it. Because like I said, I have teenage kids. Like, they may not think about how it sounds to somebody else. They might just be saying it.
Because, there's going to be kids and that are, like, counting in their head 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way to 15. Did you do your action?
Yeah.
But there's also going to be some of that in the Masters division, too. But, Troy, from actually being a parent, how would that affect specifically, like, the kids you have?
So to that point, actually, in Toronto, Jameson early in the matches, I won't say exactly which one, but early in the matches played a player who went fairly deep in the tournament. And in game 2, he looked straight at Jameson and goes, I'm slow playing right now, so you can't come back. Again, why does my child not reach out to a judge at that point? I looked at him and I said, Jameson, does that sound like something that's right? He goes, no. Like, then why wouldn't you call a judge? And again.
Because they'd call it on their sister. He'd call it on anybody else.
Yeah, he'd call it hands down on his sister if she did it. But, another opponent, no, you're just going to let it happen. So, again, it's mostly about accountability. I don't think that there's a ton of kids who are going to go that extra route where you're just sitting there hammer. And on top of that, I've seen a few instances in juniors and seniors where maybe not to that degree, but I've seen some instances where we've had, whether it's a little bit of bullying or things like that, where the judges are very quick to step in, shut it down, and hey, let's make sure that we're here. We're all here to have fun. We're all here.
Good on the judges that are taking the initiative.
Exactly. So, we've seen those little bit of things, and it does seem like, again, judges that are actively judging and walking around and really paying attention to the game, you can see tone and posture, and you can see those kids that are, really hounding those other kids. And it doesn't happen often. However, I've seen some really good stuff out of the judges with catching it.
Cool.
Yeah. I was going to say, do we still have you, John? Because I had a question for you, and I was going to spark it off of everybody else. But if not, we'll move it to Wiggles. So with these new rules, the +3, 15-minute overtime counter, do you think we will have more natural endings after February 13th on to the rest of the season?
I think that is going to come down to everyone's willingness to enforce the new rules.
Okay.
And I say it that way because as a player, if I'm against, say, Troy, and regardless of if I know Troy or not, if he is taking an egregious amount of time over 15 seconds to do his actions, am I going to then go through the steps, or am I a nervous player and I'm not going to do it? Me personally, I will, with there being a set time frame, like I'm not going to count to 15 and say it's been 15 seconds, I need you to do an action. But once you get to like the 20, 25 second, 30 second mark, somewhere in that ballpark, I'm going to be like, hey, if you could increase your pace of play, I would definitely appreciate it.
Which is exactly that way you said it is how it should be set.
Yeah. And I mean, if at that point they then respond in a negative fashion to me, which is very possible, it could be nerves, it could be just the player, there's 50 different factors that could be the reason that how they respond to me. And at that point, I will then decide if I need to call a judge over or whatnot. I think the biggest issue that we're going to run into is those end of game 3 timers is about to get called. Did my opponent take 1 or 2 seconds more than they needed to, and now they're turn 1 instead of turn 0?
Oof, yeah.
Those are going to be where the judge, that's going to create the most work for judges, I think.
And Sean, Sean, I was going to say, toss this over to you real quick. Let's say you're in that position between me and Chris. I've taken too much, I've taken 8 seconds in between that step. How in the world are you backing that up for the call?
Well, I mean, and that's where, I need to scour this and make sure, because they're going to have a lot more. The next professor conference, I probably definitely need to step in. I've been not going to as many because, like, at some point, it's best to have more people sit down and learn versus me. But with these new rule changes, I know there's going to be a lot coming out soon, especially with it hitting in February. But yeah, there's going to have to be some directive as to what we do. Is that going to be a slow play warning that turns in, or instead of a warning because we have the time and we can more than likely what's going to happen is a judge is going to have to watch that and see if that continues. Now, the previous times, if they had been watching, or maybe were called earlier, but Chris calls earlier to say, hey, he's taking some seconds off the clock. I might need those seconds later in the game. That could be something that then turns into later, but coming in at the very end point of game 3 and being like, hey, he's taking 8 seconds on this search or promote, and like that's cutting it down. I'm worried about him getting a turn, him getting turn 0. There's going to have to be some definitive what we do. I mean, my best guess is going to be in the slow play area. That's going to have to fall under that. If we can prove that they are taking more seconds than they have been, again, the way you do that, up to debate. Most of the time, it's a judge watching a game, or I should say a group of judges. As an AHA, you don't just put one person to watch a match. That creates too much possibility for bias. You set multiple eyes on a match. You send people around in a rotation to look. Because I've been a player too. Players notice who's around them. They see if the same person's watching them. I don't want to feel like the same person's watching me. So I feel like that's a better way, and you also get more eyes on the subject.
So now I know I'm going to be pushing people to do their actions, and it may cause me problems and trouble with judges, but I want my games to finish. So there comes another line of, if I have 3 or 4 people that aren't following the 45-second rule, and they're taking 2 minutes, and I've called a judge four rounds in a row, hey, he's slow playing, he's not ending his turn, he's writing notes for 2.5 minutes, I get that written down for me because I've made the call so many times in the day.
You do get that written down for you because you were called. It does come up, like, whenever they look at the call, it's going to say who it was against. But, I mean, again, I think that goes back to your tone, how you present it, who you talk to.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that we've talked about this, and we're not going to get into that.
Many different judges do things different ways.
It depends on who you talk to and how you do that, because I don't see how that should be negative against you if you're following the rules. I mean that by not being like, hey, guy, you've taken way too long on this turn. You've been searching for a minute and a half. This says you have 45 seconds. Why are you taking so long? Now, if you come across that way, something bad's going to happen. But if you're every turn, because you're finding those people that haven't adjusted to the rules, and you're just being that guy that's like, I want to finish my game, I don't think that's going to be looked at as negative. But you're right. That is something that's going to be like, oh, yeah, that guy, yeah, he called on this person, but was it warranted? I think that's really what it comes down to. Was the call warranted?
Right. Is he rule sharking because he's done it for the 3 opponents out of the last five rounds? Or is he really just being that guy like, hey, this is the rule, follow the rule, or do something else?
Yeah. Anybody else?
I think the big issue in it's deck. This is going to be deck related. We're also going to run into an issue of, okay, so theoretically, Pokemon checkup, me drawing after Troy declares end of turn, right?
Yeah.
So there are certain decks, and I know it's one that we are considering. I'm not going to put any words out there.
Yeah.
That have a lot of Pokemon checkup actions.
Yeah.
And it's not always possible to complete those Pokemon checkup actions in 5 seconds.
Well, we haven't even we're going to get to the time thing next.
Yeah.
So,
now, specifically for, let's use poison. Just poison's a natural in the middle thing.
Yeah.
Or let's use burns. Burns a little bit better because they have to flip.
Yeah, because burn. Yeah, burn.
You actually
have to do an action. Is it? It's not technically the opponent's turn until after the flip is done to check to see if that, because it is at Pokemon checkup, but it's a checkup that's being in between my turn to your turn. So it's still fall on me though, because the 5 seconds couldn't accumulate.
Yeah, it can't. The game can't proceed until that. Just like I had this question, someone asked me about Magic and Pokemon. Do we have a stack? And I was like, well, we don't really, but we kind of do. We have things that have to resolve before anything moves forward. And again, I'm not going to go into detail about it, but that's how we explained it. But with the whole burn thing, it has to be resolved before it can be your turn.
So let's say it's the time is called, just to make sure that this is, I'm understanding it right and everybody's on the same page, that if we use Volcanion burned them got them burned, and then time was called, and I said pass, and time's called. At that point, the 5 seconds does not trigger for my opponent until after the burn is resolved, because that is a checkup effect, not a passive turn.
It's not a player thing. It's not a player phase. Both players are in that phase, as far as the way I look at it. Now, it could be wrong term, but like, it does make sense that the checkup phase is both players, because things can happen on both sides.
Right. Or so, Shrine of Punishment. For anybody who didn't play during that time, it was a stadium that put ticks onto specific Pokemon in between turns. And that does not count, would be the same functionality, correct? That putting the ticks out there from the Shrine of Punishment does not affect the 5 second turn that they're giving now for them to draw their cards, because they have to finish the actions of that.
I mean, that's how I would rule that. I mean, given guidance from my superiors, we'll find out more. That'll be a question I ask them. But as far as I'm reading this, and as far as I know about in-between turns, which None of that has changed. That is still all the same. All those things need to be resolved before you can start your turn.
So you guys heard it. As of this moment, this is what the bros would say how it works, but the big man himself will ask the higher-ups how that actually resolves with the 5-second timer.
But, I mean, I assume that's the way to be.
Yeah. That's what I would think as well. I think it's going to be interesting to see what the established ruling will be with Grimmsnarl making a comeback.
Yes.
Because Grimmsnarl has Frostlass, and Frostlass says maybe I need to tick 8 Pokemon in that time frame. Because there's a world where I have Area 0 and all of my 8 Pokemon have abilities. I don't think it actually can happen, but I mean, like, there's maybe a world.
Fast ticks.
Yeah, like,
at least 4 to 5 of those Pokemon on an Area 0 would have an ability.
Yeah, like
if on average, it's going to take more than a second to pick up your dice and set it down if it's not already there.
Especially if it's not already on the one, you've got to pick up a handful of dice, find the one, put it there, and then even rotating. Some of these people that play like spin downs and whatnot, or like natural.
Not supposed to allow as damage counters.
Not as damage counters?
Not spin downs, not 20 like spin downs.
Yeah.
Not supposed to use as damage counters.
Oh, well, learned something today because I've seen people do it.
But yeah, so like that's going to be interesting to see. But I foresee Monkey Dory decks being able to manipulate time a little bit, and that's going to be it's going to be interesting to see how that's resolved, because arguably you can't tell me that I have to resolve all my monkeys at one time. But
each individual monkey action would be a different action.
Well, we're getting to the point. So since we're already here, keep a hold of that thought, Chris. It's a very good thought. Mm-hmm. We're actually going to go over the tempo of play, which is what that falls under, because the big one there is the first turn search.
Yeah,
that's what we were looking for wording in our one previous episode. But everybody's read it, seen it. I'm just going to read the actual game actions and their time. I know we got the 2 bubbles here. I'm going to put them in whenever we get into editing mode. So game action, shuffle and set, game start, 2 minutes. Shuffling and deck search, first of game, 45 seconds. Shuffling and deck search mid-game, 15 seconds. Perform the actions of a card attack, 15 seconds. Considering the game position before playing a card, 10 seconds. And then the other token we were talking about, starting the turn after the opponent's end of turn announcement, 5 seconds. So given those times and actually having a first turn search time limit, what's our thoughts?
I think that note-taking is going to eat up too much of your 45 seconds.
Yes.
But I think to go with what Chris was saying about individual monkeys, so like Gardevoir.
That's what I wanted to do.
Gardevoir plays 3 monkeys down, and they do a action to put up some damage, and they retreat, and then move monkey, and then do some more actions to put more damage on there. Each one of those individual actions are 10 seconds, because because it says 10 seconds to effectively play a card. Playing a card, in my opinion, still covers playing the ability of a in-play card, correct?
Yeah, I mean, because it does say perform the actions of a card attack, 15 seconds. But it doesn't necessarily specify ability. But that would still be within the 10-second of normal playing a card, considering the game type thing. Yeah,
because it wasn't coming from your hand, but it was still in play.
Mm-hmm.
My question, because I just don't have it in front of me, and I probably should, so I'm gonna take that hit there. Okay, so if I remember what you were saying correctly and what I've read, so you have 15 seconds to commit to do an action, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But then you also have 10 seconds to consider the board state before playing a card. Correct?
Yes.
So is there an argument where technically 15 seconds to decide my action, 10 seconds to decide to verify the board state before playing the card? Is there a world where technically you have 25 seconds, do you think? And then an alternative is, does that then theoretically mean 25 seconds for each Monkey Dory, 25 seconds for assigning damage on like Dragapult. Like, I'm wondering how that is going to affect these time rules because of how specific they were. Instead of like, we want like it to be specific, but I wonder if it was like too specific.
So
I think.
Go ahead, Troy. You go first.
So I think that what we have to look at though is, yes, like anything, and I've built racing leagues around rule books. I have a lot of experience with doing these kinds of things. And you either give broad strokes of, hey, keep playing the freaking game, or you go into extreme micromanagement. And of course, when we have 3,000 plus players, this is kind of the route you have to go when you're getting into that. So ultimately, what I'll tell players is, yeah, we can sit here and dissect every little action. However, if you are actively playing the game, you're not going to have a problem. If you're continuing to move along and you're continuing with your actions, you're going to be totally fine. However, I think back to one of the players my daughters played at NAIC. If you're sitting there staring at your deck for 30 seconds, yeah, you're going to get a judge called on you. Again, just keep playing the game. Keep moving.
Yeah, that Troy, that sounds about right. Now, Chris, with what you were going there, I guess there's two ways to look at that. The board state and playing the card of doing the action. So I guess that they're either considered one action, as in like I have 15 seconds to play my buddy, and then I have 10 seconds to consider the board state of, all right, which two cards are the optimal two cards. Or it's, I had 15 seconds to play that, but playing it, and when does the 15 seconds start? After the card touches the table, or from the moment I decide to play the card? Because
I think it's from the moment it touches the table.
Okay, so then if I take 10 seconds to consider the card played, and then 15 seconds after, technically that is 25 seconds. But if you're waiting 10 seconds to play your card and then taking 15 seconds after every action, I'm going to call a judge on you to see if this is considered slow play or not at an event. Because 25 seconds to play buddy is ridiculous.
And we got John back. So
I think if you're doing it every action, then I feel like it would be considered slow play.
Yeah.
Okay, so I got two things on that. So right underneath this, anybody can look this up on the updated book as of yesterday. Right underneath where all the game actions times are, and again, I'll put this up there so everybody can see it. Competitors attempting to compartmentalize. Wow, I made it.
He said it. He said the word.
I made it. Their turn in order to consistently use every second of the time allowed for these actions will be subject to penalties associated with stalling. Now, with that token in part, how's that change what you guys were just talking about?
That means you can't go buddy play two, buddy play two. You need to go, all right, cool. I'm going to buddy. I see that I have 4 Pokemon that I really want, and immediately play the second one, because if I go buddy, shuffle, hand you the card, then go buddy, get 2 more, I just illegally wasted time.
Boom.
Right.
Devil's advocate on that, though.
Go ahead.
Technically, per the rules, and very big technically, but technically per the rules, if I play 2 buddy Poffins, I am technically failing the first and playing the second.
Oh, 100%.
And this is where that, like, playing them at the same time, yes, you can say that, and that's why I was saying specifically you play the buddy Poffin, you grab your 2, and instantly play the next one to grab the next 2 and skip the shuffling part. But yes, there is a realm where, because we've went over this before we used it with different Pokemon. We did a nest ball and a buddy that, like, if I said I played buddy and nest ball, and my buddy pulled me out, I don't know, my first 2 Pokemon I pulled was a Greninja, Radiant Greninja, and a Comfey. All right, cool. You failed the second half of your buddy because you pulled them out because you went Comfey, then Greninja, then tried to pull second Comfey. No, you changed your orders wrong. You failed the second half of your buddy to activate the nest ball to find that. You can be that guy, but I don't know how many times you can do it.
So
yeah, and that's the biggest issue that I'm like like I shortcut because I think it's a respect thing. If I know that I'm going to go in 3 times, I'm going to say, "Hey, dude, I'm going to go in 3 times. These are the 3 cards I'm going to play." Like I'm trying to make sure that we both have enough time to complete this game. So I think that's a respect thing.
So I
Like,
do something that's
yeah.
something that's like in the middle, and we've talked about this before. I call it prize checking in stages. So I'll use Goldango for example. If I got 2 buddy buddies in hand, and I know I'm going to play them both, I'm going to play a buddy buddy, do my first deck search, get the 2 I want, put them up front, and take a look at what's there. And knowing I'm going to play the other buddy buddy, I'm going to put the other 1 or 2 possible targets behind the other 2 targets. Pull the 2 out, play them, set my deck down, and just like Chris said, I'm like, hey, I'm going back in. Grab my hand, play the second buddy buddy, and guess what? The 1 or 2 targets I wanted are right there on the bottom, and then I can use that time to finish my prize checking.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm not one to remember all of them in one. I don't want to write notes, but if I do it in stages, I can look at the important cards and go from there. Am I correct? Probably should do a full prize check, but I play fast anyways. But that's the, and then the other token on the Monkey Dory thing, I wanted to hit this before I forgot. So before all these rule changes came out, a few years ago, they were talking about some implementing rules kind of like this and looking at player trends. So the idea was if you played an Arvin, I think we've talked about this before. If you play an Arvin and you're going to pull out a tool and another item, that item you're going to pull shouldn't take you as long to find because you had an idea of what you were going to get. Now, granted, that changes from the beginning, mid, to late game, meaning that in the beginning of the game, your options are way more wide. You have tons of options. You're going to have a lot more thinking, a lot more considering. As the game weans down, you get to mid-game, end-game, depending on your deck, it's Sarah Ledge, and you've burned through everything, and you have 4 cards left in deck. You know what's there, type deal. So that same search that you did should not take as long. Correct. Not only you only have 4 cards to look at, but again, because of what's played, you know what's there. That's the idea. That's not the model that this is referring to. That was a whole different thing that did not get implemented, but it was definitely them looking at trends to see how can we make this faster.
Yeah, effectively, like if you turn 1, you play Arvin, you know you're going to go Arvin for Buddy Buddy TM Evo or Arvin for Buddy Buddy Air Balloon so you can use Badoo. You know that's what you're doing turn 1. So you should not need to take 15 seconds to play Arvin, 15 seconds to play your Buddy Buddy, and 15 seconds to do your TM Evo.
Right.
Any
That's
other
exactly
takers
what I
on
do
that?
as well. Yeah, I was going to say, you guys describe exactly what I do. I line up everything, and then during each search, I prize check a specific card. Like, I'll do the Pokemon with the first search, and then I'll do the supporter cards and the ace spec, for example. And then later in the game, I'll do the item cards and the energy.
Yeah, I usually put energy up front, but a lot of my decks require, like Goldango or Sarah Ledge, require me to have a certain amount of energy and know where it's at. But that's a different story. That just goes into what deck you're playing and what you look for.
Right.
Exactly, yeah.
Troy, you got anything on that?
I mean, honestly, no, that pretty much covers it. We try to teach our kids, and of course that's changed over the past year or so. We try to teach our kids to prize check. However, for the kids, again, you know, an 8-year-old is not, for the most part, not going to be able to look at 60 cards and be able to tell you exactly which 6 it is. So
right.
We kind of hit on those. Hey, look for your majors. You know, are we playing Trolley and the Bunny Dango, and we're looking for a Trolley and an Arvin, and you know, like what are we looking for there? So we try to keep it a little more concise in the younger divisions. However, you know, again, price checking is real, but we've got to be quick about it, because if you aren't quick, you're going to end up kind of like we were in Toronto, and you got 2 ties in the first 3 games.
Correct. Now, to go with that first search shenanigans, John, you brought it up earlier. Are you specifically a note taker? Is that why you asked about it?
I was just going to bring this up too.
So I used to take notes last season, but it actually resulted in me losing too much time during the games. So I've actually steered away from it this season, and I've had a lot less ties this season just because I don't note take. Also, when I'm prize checking, I no longer move all of the certain types of cards. Like, let's say, for example, all the energies to the front. I just try and memorize it as I'm going through and leave it in the random order it's in. So it doesn't take me longer to shuffle, and it doesn't take me longer to organize the deck to try and get the energies all to the front and stuff like that.
This man knows game.
Time management is a big issue. Obviously, prize checking is a great strategic advantage, but also getting through all 3 games is also equally, if not more important than knowing your prize cards.
Beautifully said. Beautifully said.
Chris, how do you feel about that statement?
I 100% agree. Like okay, so I prize check the major things like Sean was saying, and like I feel like John is if not saying, is heavily implying here.
Yeah.
I check for the major things. Like if I know, hey, I need to get Pokemon out. All right, cool. This is the Pokemon search. I need energy because that's my attack engine. All right, I've got this many energies. Like, do I have all my bosses? Is my ace spec in the deck? Do I have my Charizards? How many owls? Like, those are things that like I will identify quickly without moving. Like my biggest pet peeve when I watch deck searching from my opponent is watching them sort their whole entire deck and like I don't get how that helps. Like I get from like a elementary way how that does help because I'm cool. All my Pokemon, all my energy, all my trainers, I see it and I understand it. But like I don't get why up until now the trend has been 2-minute deck searches. That's 12 minutes if both players do a 2-minute deck search in a 50-minute round.
That has come from that that 2-minute deck search thing has come from people being lenient on the rule. All right, cool. I'm 20 seconds and 15. That's the same thing. And then everybody was like lenient to 20 seconds, and then 20 seconds to 30 seconds. It's not that bad. And then 45 seconds to a minute for first turn deck search. Oh, a minute 15, it's not that bad. It's only 30 seconds more than what they said they could have. And that's how we got to 2 minutes and had an unwritten rule that you were allowed to do it.
Yeah, I don't understand how, from a competitive standpoint, I think it's a great idea to lose 12 of my 50 minutes. Because if I expect that I should get 2 minutes, I should also expect that my opponent gets 2 minutes. Mm-hmm. And if I'm expecting to play 3 games, that means I'm expecting that we're both going to waste 4 minutes a game, and that's 12 minutes. So I don't understand. There's no mathematical way to complete 3 games in 38 minutes. I don't care who you are. I don't care how fast you play.
Raging Bolt versus Raging Bolt.
That was
no, because the first turn on Raging Bolt, I've played a lot of Raging Bolt, and I know that Raging Bolt is fast. My first turn is the longest fucking turn, or freaking turn. Sorry,
you're allowed one.
Yeah,
it's a Marvel movie. You give me one.
Of any deck, like my first turn is going to be long. And it's because I'm using multiple nest balls. I'm using Squawkabilly. I'm using multiple Earth and I'm theoretically probably going to play 10 cards. I'm going to play 10 cards, and even if I was to shortcut everything, I'm still completing 10 actions, and like it's just going to
Okay,
be long. There's
fine.
No way for me to
we'll say Miraidon versus Miraidon. Search for Miraidon. Get out 2 other Pokemon. Generator, Squawk. Generator, Swing. Did I win? Cool.
I don't know. Yeah. Did I go second? That means I supported you.
Basically, yeah. Did I go second?
Tiger, how long does it take me to whip 2 generators?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. How long I'm going to take 15 seconds staring at the fact that I played 2 generators and didn't get a single lightning energy.
People would do that though. They would use the electric generator, get no lightning energies, and then stare at their hand for 30 seconds, trying to figure out how they didn't get lightning energy instead of keep playing the game.
You can't do nothing else.
Is my existential crisis part of the 15 seconds, or is that a second action? But and that's the I fully expect that every first turn will be long, because it should be, because you are setting up the board for the optimal position to play the game. But if I'm taking 3, maybe 4 minutes to play my first turn, and then also taking 2 minutes to set up. And then theoretically, my opponent should also do that because I expect that I'm playing against a caliber of player that is going to play the game and is going to optimize their turn and is going to optimize their board state. And if I did it, why can't they? Yeah, it's just I'm going to get halfway through game 2 and I'm going to be like, where'd all the time go? And it's like, dude, you spent 4 years searching your deck. 6 times
I grew
on
a
turn
great
1.
beard over here.
That does bring up a good point. When your opponent takes like extremely long to prize check and to just play their actions, it kind of feels disrespectful when you're trying to play super fast because you're trying to play fast for both of you while they're just taking their time. And obviously, the longer you take, eventually you're going to figure out the optimal line or the optimal solution. So it's not really fair for one person to be forced to play fast to try and get through all 3 games, and one person just taking their slow roll time.
I've made so many mistakes playing fast. Like, it's taken me a long time to get you. I mean, that's why I play a lot of Goldango and Saraledge, because I can play those fast, because I put months into playing those. But, like, again, that's a certain archetype back to what these guys play a lot of. You can't play those fast.
Yeah, I mean, John knows a lot about playing Dragapult. It's not, and that's I think Dragapult is the epitome of the problem because I get you need to take a moment to look at your card, but there is no reason that it takes you 45 seconds, look at your hand, look at your recon, look at your hand, look at your recon.
It doesn't change.
I don't need this. Maybe I need this. 6 turn later, I might need a counter catcher because I might fall behind in price. No, just pick your freaking card and go. Like 85, you're a 50-50 chance of it being the right card, and if you know how to play the deck, it should be an 80 to 20% chance you pick the right card.
This man's getting heated over here. I saw the spit fly out of his mouth.
And Tiger, I think back to some of these seniors whenever we had Lost Box. Okay, some of the seniors we used to play against in Lost Box who were top tier seniors were playing so freaking fast with this Lost Zone, mechanic. That their cards literally, like, all you had to do is call a judge on them and be like, dude, these cards are mangled. But, we're playing in these cups and these things are warped because these kids are just slamming them down. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I can remember that.
Like, you respect it because, their actions are taking a long time. But these kids are just flying through because you can tell that they're just going, screw it, I'm going to get through 3 games of this.
Yeah.
I would love to see a trend, or I would love to see what the trend was. So, like, Lost Box, when it was big, it was popular, it was peak deck. Like, Lost Box players, I never had an issue with Lost Box players not doing their actions fast. Like,
I mean, you'd have a comfy every now and again that was a decision.
Yeah.
But
It'd be like flower selecting, and then one of them's battle VIP pass. Right? Okay, there we go. Let's
Yeah.
on that.
but it's like of the, like, in the, like, I feel like comparing the two, because Dragapult has a similar mechanic, right? So it's still just look at 2, pick 1. Like, I feel like the Lost Box players that were like literally sending this card to never be seen again, like 100%. For the rest of the game, they made their decisions infinitely faster than like the Dragapult player that is looking at 2 cards that they're going to shuffle in like 4 seconds because they have 6 Pokemon search cards they want to use this turn. And so,
they would hit all 3 of those confies in like 7 seconds because they had more to do too. You had to move it to the active, then flower select, then play Jet Energy or Switch or something, then air balloon it, then switch to another one, and then if they played Scoop Up Net, they had to recycle it and do it again. And they did 7 flower Lost Zones on turn 1 because they played Colress into double this, into Lost Vacuum, into Pokestop, and you're like 45 seconds into the game, they've got a turn 1 Dragonite, and you're like, all right, cool. But you can't do that, and you don't have to move your Dracloaks.
Yeah, that needs to be some homework for the bros. We gotta look back and see. I don't know how you find that data, but that would be cool to find out. Yeah. But we got about 10 minutes left. We usually try to cut it about an hour. And anybody got anything else on the new rules they want to speak on? Nothing?
No, just if you're against me, I'm gonna clap at you. Do your actions.
Go ahead, Troy.
So I'll just throw out there that I appreciate that Big Pika was listening. So, the players have been complaining about it. We don't like it. I was frustrated about it after Toronto specifically. But, again, they did listen. They heard us. And, you know, is it perfect? No, nothing's ever going to be perfect. However, it is better.
Okay. So our next top. Well, go ahead, John. You got something?
No, I was just gonna say that was well said.
Okay.
It's important that they were listening to the feedback that a lot of the players were saying.
All hail Big Pika for doing it.
All hail Big Pika. But all right, so now on the other side of Big Pika, and one thing these guys are not too happy about is the timing of rotation. This was a little bit of a hot topic when we were off camera. I figured it'd be a good way to end the episode. So again, I don't play as much. Rotation doesn't matter for me unless it's a legal card or not. Does it go into GLC or what type deal? But for you guys, it's very important. I know Chris and you are going to EUIC. John, you're not going to EUIC, are you?
I'm not going to EUIC. Usually rotation is about EUIC, but they delayed it. I don't even know when rotation is. I've just been locked in on the next turn.
So we'll let these guys go ahead about it. But yeah, that was my point, was EUIC has usually been rotation.
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and cut the mic to Tiger because I know he's well voiced on this situation.
So just general, how many regionals have we had since the last real set dropped? Since Phantasmal dropped, how many regionals have we had, or events?
What month was Phantasmal? I'll be able to tell you.
It became legal the week after LAIC.
Yeah, it was for Vegas. Vegas was the first NA regional where it was legal.
Yeah, so then you had Vegas in December, you had nothing, and then Toronto you had Toronto in January. So now
we had
there might have been some
Stuttgart.
internationals that I'm not including.
And then we had two. We had Stuttgart.
Roughly six.
Merida, Birmingham.
We have
maybe.
had
Okay, Chris is on
6.
Okay.
We have 6.
Or no, 5. Stuttgart, Toronto, Birmingham, Merida, and then the Korean League Season 2 has been Scarlet Violet to Phantasmal Flames.
So there has been, you said 5, 6?
5 for sure,
Yeah, 5.
6 maybe if we're missing one.
4 technically, because Korean League doesn't count for us.
All right, so 4
even though it is
events.
standard, yeah.
4 events of this, and they've missed the mark on 2 different. 1 week sooner, Phantasmal would have been legal for LAIC. 1 week sooner, the rotation would be with Orlando Regional. But instead, we get how many events of our bonus set added, Ascended Heroes, which got delayed and is coming out over the next 3 months before the next set happens.
4.
So we're going to have...
Because EUIC, Houston... okay, so 3, because Orlando is the 4th I'm thinking of.
Plus and the European events.
I'm not counting it. In my brain, it's only NA. But, you're right. There's more than 4.
Yeah.
So
because,
a
Puerto
mini
Rico?
set?
Puerto Rico?
Puerto Rico, yeah.
Yeah, Puerto Rico is going to be Ascended Heroes. That's 5 just in North America.
So we
Is
have
that Ascended?
an extra 40 cards got added to the card pool, and we're going to do another globally, probably 7 events. That's bad. Step it up, Pika.
Yeah,
I know
it's too
that
long, I think.
I know that you are focusing on what you think is going to be the main cards added to the meta. And there's nothing wrong with that, but this is a huge set.
It is a collector's set.
It's a uncomfortably huge set for what the release schedule is. Yes, collector set, it has a lot of different arts. Ignoring all of the arts, we get theoretically at least 10 to 15 decks that could be played in the meta that are not currently meta because it's just new cards. So yes, argument can be made 15 to 20 cards are being added to the card pool, but you have to realize Birmingham, 8% of the meta share was undefined in Birmingham.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Which means it is 8. So 8% out of 2,400 players, and I'm rounding.
Yeah.
Was decks that are not a quote unquote considered meta deck.
And that just goes to show why North Americans call the area free you.
But here's the thing: if and I'm just gonna pull up the results just because like no one was or that's where did Grimmsnarl won one recently, but either way,
That was
like
Mirada.
looking
Yeah.
like there's a Grimmsnarl in top 32. There's two, like no one's was looking at Grimmsnarl at all. Absol box has fallen to the wayside, but yet there's multiple Absol boxes in here. There's an Alakazam in here, which I'm sure would be considered in the undefined technically.
I think it actually had a picture on the best of the rest.
Oh, it did in the best of the rest. You're right, but like the thing about it is like they're like as a competitive player and as someone who does a lot of traveling and all of that. Yes, theoretically, you focus on the 5 big decks, and I mean I do it as well. I'm guilty of it as well. Like this is throwing rocks in glass houses moment right now.
Yeah.
There is like just off the top of my head, Dragonite is theoretically something that we might see pop up. Rocket's Honchkrow is something that we might see pop up. We could theoretically see Mewtwo coming back because it does have more cards that can be used in Rocket's Mewtwo. There is Miraidon gets some extra toys. Joltik box gets extra toys. Terra box gets extra toys. Like and that's just 6 decks off the top. Like Dragapult gets extra toys. And I mean, yes, Dragapult's top 3 decks or whatever. Like, but like, there's a lot of extra things that decks can include in here that actually make them semi-relevant, and we could see them have more play. So like, arguably in the top 5 decks, is it 20 cards? I'm not going to disagree with you, but there's so many cards from this set that can make decks exist. And that is what the thing that's the biggest issue with the release schedule of it, is that you have 3-pack blisters. That's all we're getting. And I think Australia got delayed. They're not even getting their 3-pack blisters.
Oh, is it a 3-pack? I heard that they were making them 2-packs.
No, it's a 3-pack text sticker.
Okay.
So, like, and just speaking from, like, I work at a card shop right now, so we are getting 3 displays. That is all we are getting. That is 32 or 36, I can't remember, of the text stickers. And that is for everyone. That is all that we are getting. Yeah. Like, that is all that we are getting. Like, this is a set that is going to have a huge effect. And I think there's possibly 2 regionals before we get the next release from this set.
I don't know dates that far.
Yeah. I know this has like been compared to the next Crown Zenith, that there was enough playable in it that it was legitimate set, but like it was a lot of collector on it.
Yeah.
But
I mean, there's a lot of nice art. Like, I'm not gonna lie, like Dragapult gets fancy art.
Yeah, all the cool mega arts with the homage to the classic style megas with the alternate language writing.
Yeah,
in America we get the Japanese, and in Japan they get the American words written on it.
Yeah, I like the Beautiful Joe is what I consider it, because if anybody remembers that game, you old heads remember that game. Yeah, that was kind of how the text writing popped up when you hit people.
John, how do you feel about the rotation setting that they did, at least for this year?
He might be there. He muted. I don't know if he had to leave.
Well, John,
he's back.
Sorry, what was the question?
How do you feel about the rotation schedule that they've done this year with release dates and actual rotation?
Personally, I don't like it. I think that there should be like 3 tournaments per set, at least NA max. So I don't like that there's more than that just for a subset.
I can get down on that. 3 or 4, no more than 4.
Yeah, max.
I mean, yeah, we should because
do we count Puerto Rico?
We do count Puerto Rico. It is. Those players have to fall. They are registered to do it through LATAM, but Puerto Rican players have to adhere to the leaderboard of North America and Canada.
Okay.
Yeah, so I would still
wasn't
count it
sure
under NA.
Okay, no, that's valid. I wasn't sure which one they fell under because of the way that their registration occurs.
Yeah, a lot of time their events are ran by Latin America judges because that's most of who's there anyways. But yeah, they still fall under NA stuff.
Yeah.
And I'll throw out there, honestly, Tiger, kind of speaking back to some of the scheduling of this stuff is like, look back to where we were like 2 years ago, where it seemed to fall a little bit, a little bit smoother. And what have we had? We've had Gaming Gen take over for North America. And what have we seen when Gaming Gen took over? It used to be when we first started, man, July 1, and we knew every regional for the year.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And you cannot tell me that it is not a lot easier to plan out that far ahead with the sets that Pokemon's giving us.
100%.
But when we keep giving as they've done now, where we're getting like, hey, we're getting a sneak peek of the next 4 to 5 regionals, and then the rest will come out in 4 months.
Yeah.
It cannot line up well.
I don't know what advantage they gain from that.
They don't.
Like Pokemon themselves. Like, this is no big shot at Big Pika. I'm just saying, I just don't understand what advantage you gain from holding information that should be known unless they didn't get the contracts done. I don't know.
So I mean, look at we'll use Brent Tonneson as an example. Big Brent T, the wet goose, as some may know him. The man lives, breathes, eats, sleeps, drinks Pokemon, and he runs his whole year off of pre-booking flights the moment the schedule comes out.
Yep.
And it's got to be more cost efficient to do that. But if half of your year isn't there, you can't book like that. But I digress on. I think Gaming Gen doesn't know how to schedule because they do too much. But whatever. There is one side topic about new cards coming out that's not an official. It's not official card. They are official cards, but they are not an official set. There is a new one called the Illustrator Starter Sets. I don't know if anybody's seen those or not. But what they are, they're going to come with 2 random current packs and a specific pack that has 3 cards in it, guaranteed Illustrator rares of starter Pokemon.
What?
Oh, is that for the 30th anniversary?
I don't know if it's the 30th anniversary or what it is, but they are using it is only starter Pokemon will be getting Illustrator rare, and you can only get them out of this one pack that will be per 3-pack blister box, and it's like.
Do they have suggested retail on it?
It's gonna be whatever the pin collections are with the 3 packs in it.
It's 3, it's 3 packs. It's
gonna be like $12.99 or $15.99, something like that.
I mean,
it'll be $16.99.
Probably because of the Illustrator cards. So about roughly $20 after tax, given your area.
But I think I can't remember if they said it was. If I was right, it was 12 or 15. But that means that there's a handful of generations of starters that will have their own illustration rare arts.
That's pretty cool, actually. That's going to be great for GLC. Depending on what the cards are they reprints or are they new cards?
They'd have to be new, I would assume, unless they gave an illustration rare to an older
That's
card.
what I mean. When I say reprint, I don't mean reprint as in completely copy-paste. I mean, you took a Bulbasaur that did not have an illustration rare, but you just took the card text and the info and plopped it on the back of an illustration rare. Ooh. That's what I was wondering.
I mean, that's possible. I don't know much on it other than these packs are coming out.
Okay, we'll have to keep everybody informed on that.
I'll throw out there, I did see, we are seeing some of the Pokemon Day stuff head out to some of the shops. Our shop received their information about Pokemon Day. Would not surprise me whatsoever if that was not some kind of tie-in to Pokemon Day.
That makes sense.
Yep.
Bet it does. But I think we're over our hour. I don't really have any other burning topics. Does any of the bros out there have any burning topics they want to let the crowd know before we sign off for the night?
Good luck on your Ascended Heroes hunts, people. That is it.
that is all.
Listen, I work at a card shop and I'm already not looking forward to it. Like I'm not going to get enough product.
Yeah.
So, question for everybody, and we'll come back on it. How do we think Pokepads are going to be like lilies and things of that nature, where they were like 2 to a box, or are they going to be super flying out the wazoo so everybody can have them? And how much do you think they're going to cost if you wanted to go buy like a 4-pack off of somebody online?
That's gonna be highly.
I mean, it'll be more expensive than normal, but I don't think it'll be too bad.
We looking 50 cents a card, or we looking $2 a card?
$1 or $2.
Yeah, probably $2 a card, especially for EUIC.
I think only 3-pack blister out, $4 a card. I think
point.
as the products release, it's going to go down to probably like $1.50. But they're 100%. I foresee the vendors using the fact that you need it to play the game to line their pockets. And I mean, like from and like from a business standpoint, I get it, but from a player standpoint, I'm not a huge fan.
Right, I'm going to buy way more of them off you if you sold them to me at the right price. Like,
yeah.
And for us going to EUIC, if we needed to buy any last-minute card, it's going to be even more expensive because it's like almost 50% more on the dollar in British pounds than it is USD.
Yeah, each pound is $1.38 for us.
Yeah, so 40% increase on the dollar for what we would spend here.
Yep. And for you guys going to EUIC, some of our friends who were over in Birmingham, it sounds like heading out of the airport, they were ripping the seals on your sealed products. So if you take some stuff home, you might want to get rid of it before, boys.
Oh, that sucks. I always tell the airport people, like, you're going to put my bag through, it's going to look crazy. There's a ton of cards in there. Feel free to open them up, open the deck boxes, but there's something sealed. Do not open it. I haven't had an issue, but
I saw some pictures of like people who had like 3 to 4 boxes that got ripped open.
Oh, I will be selling them there because I don't need anything out of Phantasmal, and that's what we'll be getting.
Exactly.
But yeah, I think that's it for me. I know I got to work in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
From the bros over here all across the world, you got PA, South Carolina, Florida, California. It's kind of crazy. We're actually in a bunch of different spots. That's the bright side of having a community that plays and works out together.
Yeah, we're a little East Coast heavy, but well, that's why we had to branch out and get the West Coast bro.
But yeah, so until next time, stay lucky.
Stay lucky.